Anne's—" The child was staggering, and the hand which was free had sought her heart where it lay clenched, the knuckles showing white in the dim light. Mr. Challoner watched her with dilated eyes, the spell under which she spoke falling in some degree upon him. Had she finished? Was this all? No, she is speaking again, but very low, almost in a whisper. There is music, a crash, but I plainly see his other hand approach the object he is holding. He takes something from the end. The object is pointed my way. I am looking into what? I do not know. I cannot even see him now. The space where he stood is empty. Everything fades, and I wake with a loud cry in my ears and a sense of death here. She had lifted her hand and struck at her heart, opening her eyes as she did so. Yet it was not I who had been shot, she added softly. Mr. Challoner shuddered. This was like the reopening of his daughter's grave. But he had entered upon the scene with a full appreciation of the ordeal awaiting him, and he did not lose his calmness or the control of his judgment. "Be seated, Miss Scott," he entreated, taking a chair himself. "You have described the spot and some of the circumstances of my daughter's death as accurately as if you had been there. But you have doubtless read a full account of those details in the papers, possibly seen pictures which would make the place quite real to you. The mind is a strange storehouse. We do not always know what lies hidden within it." "That's true," she admitted. "But the man! I had never seen the man, or any picture of him, and his face was clearest of all. I should know it if I saw it anywhere. It is imprinted on my memory as plainly as yours. Oh, I hope never to see that man." Mr. Challoner sighed. He had really anticipated something from the interview. The disappointment was keen. A moment of expectation, the thrill which comes to us all under the shadow of the supernatural, and then this, a young and imaginative girl's dream, convincing to herself, but supplying nothing which had not already been supplied both by the facts and his own imagination. A man had stood at the staircase, and this man had raised his arm. She said that she had seen something like a pistol in his hand, but his daughter had not been shot. This he thought it well to point out to her. Leaning toward her that he might get her full attention, he waited till her eyes met his, then quietly asked, "Have you ever named this man to yourself?" She started and dropped her eyes. "I do not dare to," said she. "Why?" "Because I've read in the papers that the man who stood there had the same name as—" "Tell me, Miss Scott." "As Mr. Brotherson's brother." "But do you not think it was his brother?" "I do not know." "You've never seen his brother?" "Never." "Nor his picture?" "No, Mr. Brotherson has none." "Aren't they friends? Does he never mention Orlando?" "Very, very rarely, but I've no reason to think they are not on good terms. I know they correspond." "Miss Scott." "Yes, Mr. Challoner." "You must not rely too much upon your dream." Her eyes flashed to his and then fell again. "Dreams are not revelations. They are the reproduction of what lies already hidden in the mind. I can prove that your dream is such." "How?" She looked startled. "You speak of seeing something being levelled at you which made you think of a pistol." "Yes, I was looking directly into it." "But my daughter was not shot. She died from a stab." Doris's lovely face, with its tender lines and girlish curves, took on a strange look of conviction which deepened rather than melted under his indulgent but penetrating gaze. I know that you think so, but my dream says no. I saw this object. It was pointed directly towards me. Above all, I saw his face. It was the face of one whose finger is on the trigger and who means death, and I believe my dream." Well, it was useless to reason further. Gentle in all else, she was immovable so far as this idea was concerned, and, seeing this, he let the matter go, and prepared to take his leave. She seemed to be quite ready for this. Anxiety about her patient had regained its place in her mind, and her glance sped constantly toward the door. Taking her hand in his, he said some kind words, then crossed to the door and opened it. Instantly her finger flew to her lips, and, obedient to its silent injunction, he took up his hat in silence, and was proceeding down the hall when the bell rang, startling them both and causing him to step quickly back. "Who is it?" she asked. "Father's in, and visitors seldom come so late." "Shall I see?" She nodded, looking strangely troubled as the door swung open, revealing the tall, strong figure of a man facing them from the porch. A stranger formed itself upon her lips, and she was moving forward when the man suddenly stepped into the glare of the light, and she stopped with a murmur of dismay which pierced Mr. Challoner's heart and prepared him for the words which now fell shudderingly from her lips. "It is he! It is he! I said that I should know him wherever I saw him." Then with a quiet turn towards the intruder, "Oh, why did you come here?" End of chapter 28.